now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to have with us on stage one of the Bollywood most handsome man. His charming personality attracts fans across generations, and his phenomenal work as an actor has inspired many. He's not only a superstar in India, but has also made us proud for being a part of mega Hollywood movies. He has done TV series and is also a successful film producer. This man needs no more introduction. Let us invite on stage the maverick star who has been bestowed with the abundant of the accolades, including 2 National Film Awards in his career spanning over the 4 decades. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our favorite Mr. India, Mr. Anil Kapoor. Well, yes, sir, we would love to have you on stage. If you could just address the crowd as well.
Well, good afternoon, all of you all, and welcome to India, Peggy. It's such a pleasure and honor to have you over here. And of course, I'm here as a family member. Both the Lula daughters over here and Eros has been, I've been attached to Eros as a family member since many, many years. More than 35 years has been my association. And I've been, of course, as you know, that the world admires Microsoft. The world admires Bill Gates and the family and all of you all. And of course, I've heard so much about you, Peggy. And we have something common, that we both love running. So that's going to be fantastic. So welcome all of you all. And thank you so much for coming. And without wasting any time, I would like to ask a few questions to both of you all. And whom do I start with? Huh?
Well, before we hop onto the fireside, I think just because we have all the dignitaries with us, let's go ahead and have a picture of all of you together.
Picture's always there, yeah? Okay. Yes, of course. Please come. You be in the middle, Peggy. Yes, yes. Yeah, we can go in front, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do I have a chair or no? Oh yeah, okay. Otherwise, it's going to sit down, kneel down and ask questions. I can. Get it closer. Get a little bit closer. Yeah. I think you want to get a little front in the front? Yeah. Cool. Like a serious, techno geek. So I'm supposed to ask, let me ask Rishika first, right? She's the youngest among all of us, so.
Yes, by far.
Yeah. So future
You're youngest at heart, though.
So, Rishika, I want to ask you, in this business of digital entertainment, tell us about your journey with Eros. But obviously, I know you as a kid. You were born in front of me, and I've seen you grow up, and I came for your wedding also, right? Absolutely, yes, yeah. So it's been in the last 5 years since inception, and how technology has played a key role in driving the growth of Eros, and what has been your experience, if you can tell us, yeah.
Of course. The journey of Eros now has been really, really interesting. It actually came up as an idea on holiday when you're vacationing and clear-headed. That's when I think the best ideas come. I've always been an early adopter of technology. I've always been subscribed to multitudes of services. I remember the first MP3 player I had was a Nomad. They were kind of Discman-size, huge things. And I realized that a lot of these streaming now giants had actually started on the back of strong content. And at that point, there was this realization that, hey, Eros has the world's biggest Indian language library. We say we are technologically advanced. We embrace technology and leadership technology as part of our DNA when it comes to content distribution. That online distribution seemed like the best way forward and very much a natural extension of our leadership DNA within the space. But beyond a natural extension of distribution, what was really important to us was actually to start building a B2C brand versus a brand that is just there every time a film comes out. So how do you create a daily touch point with your fans and your consumers? That's only possible when you're able to build a strong platform that is incredibly personal, that houses all of the content in one place. So that was essentially the vision and how it was born. In terms of the journey, it was exciting, really exciting, I think, from creating the brand to actually creating our tech teams based in San Francisco and Bangalore and Bombay. It was something we built ground up. So very much I feel like Eros now is my baby.
Great. Peggy, can I ask you a question, please?
Yes.
Sure. Okay, cool. Can you tell us about your role in Microsoft?
Right. So I run business development at Microsoft, and you can think of it as the development of businesses, essentially growth for Microsoft. And we do that in three ways. We do it through strategic partnerships like the one we have with Eros. We do it with investments and through acquisitions. And each one of those are meant to be sort of a way to grow inorganically, to sort of bend the curve of our individual units and bring something from the outside in to be a catalyst for growth. And so we look across all three levers and we pull whichever one is most appropriate at the time. Largely it's around strategic partnerships. And since Satya came in, we've had a real focus on that area, partnerships, and even partnering with some kind of surprising companies. Look like we might be a little competitive in some areas, but we usually find ways to cooperate and find synergies and growth for both of us.
And I've heard you're an introvert.
I am an introvert.
Okay. So how does that influence your leadership style? Because usually leaders are supposed to be very, flamboyant, extrovert, and you're an introvert. So how do you?
Yeah, it's not. Frankly, when I started my career many years ago, I was always asked to be more extroverted, to speak up more, to be more aggressive at work. I'm an electrical engineer, and it was largely my company I was generally the only woman in the room, and so I was in an environment I wasn't comfortable with anyway. And but eventually, I realized that being an introvert is actually a plus. You're generally a listener if you're not talking, and that has helped me do my job better. I feel like if I had a superpower, it would be listening. I listen to the customer, really understand what they need, and then help them realize their vision. So it can be a plus, and the world is full of extroverts and introverts. I think we need both of them.
And absolutely. Matter of fact, as soon as I met you, I started speaking, and you were listening.
I'm a listener.
We were talking about running, so and as I have, for me also, it's been a passion for many years. So, when did you start running?
I started running in college, just 2 years ago. No, many years ago in college, and now I've somewhere along the line I ran further and further distances, and now I like to run marathons, and so I'm working my way through the world major marathons.
Oh, cool. That's really cool, yeah. Rishika, now the question is to you. How do you think the entertainment fraternity adopting to the new form of change in consumption?
I would actually like to turn that back round to you.
Oh,
Good move.
so you're going to ask me that question?
How do you think the entertainment fraternity has adopted to new technology changes?
Yeah, you see, to be honest with you, I was telling you when I met you yesterday that your dad, always has been ahead of the curve, and which is, and I know him since so many years. So, and I remember so many years, I think more than a decade back, and when he's, spoke about, we were giving interviews and everything was happening digital, and he was talking about this more than a decade back. So, so first I want to compliment your dad, Kishore Ji, my friend. Kishore, I call him Kishore, so I can't call him. Yeah, so he's always been had a vision which was always ahead of times, and I'm so happy that this partnership is happening between Eros now and Microsoft, and I'm looking forward to this partnership. And asking me the question, I think, am I the right person to answer that? Of course, okay. Well, of course, for me, because I belong to the family of content. We make content, and mine is a very small little company. My father was in films since last 60 years. We've been making content since over 60 years, and it's a family business. And he was a film producer. He started as an agent, and of course, from my childhood, besides breathing and eating food, I was breathing films and breathing content and telling stories. And then obviously I was the first actor in the family. So because from the time I came to my senses, I wanted to be an actor, and I became an actor. And as I said, and we were talking about diversity and the which the collaboration which all are having is about diversity. So I was not getting any work in Indian films, in Hindi films, in Mumbai, in Bombay, which I'm talking about in the late 70s. So my first film was in Telugu, which is a South Indian language. Okay, so that time this technology wasn't there, which is going to start. So I had to learn the sound, write it in Roman English, and learn the sounds by heart. Okay, like a child, like A, B, C, D. So I said, if a child can pick up these sounds and learn them by heart, so let me write what is written in that language which I don't understand. So I wrote it in Roman English, and I used to learn them by heart. Then I had an assistant who would be there to tell me what the meaning is, and the director and the writer would say, this is the meaning. Then I would learn it by heart, and then obviously Hindi has different pauses, has a different rhythm. Working in English is a different rhythm, and working in a South Indian language is a different rhythm, different pitching, different pauses. So how do I get those pauses? Because now I have to have 3 or 4 tracks running simultaneously in my brain. One is the sound, which I have learned by heart. Second is the meaning, and the third are the pauses, and the fourth is where I have to come and stop. So these are the 4 or 5 tracks constantly running in my brain, and that's the way I did my first film as a lead was in Telugu. Then I did a Kannada film. Again, I did the same thing, and then I've done a lot of Hindi films, and then I had to do an international film in English. So obviously, performing in English was a completely different. So when I did Slumdog Millionaire with Danny Boyle, so I said, listen, my English is not very good. No, I said, you speak pretty well. You speak the way you want to speak. And of course, I was a bit conscious. I was a bit nervous that I have to, speak in English and I have to perform in English. So I worked, and he gave me the confidence. I said, no, you speak pretty well. Because we in India have a certain, our teachers and the way we've been brought, there is definitely a British influence which is there in the way we've been in the schools and all. So I did that in English, and so for us, coming to your question of diversified, because that's the you're not coming out with the technology where simultaneously it will be done in different languages. And so for us, I think it's telling the story, no matter what it is, no matter what the platform is. It might be theater, it might be films. Then I did television, and now I am, creating content for the digital format, which is fantastic. And of course, from the computers to the phones and everything. So things, I think all of us are adapting very well to this, and I have tried to adapt myself to this, the technology, which is the most important. That's the way you completely reinvent yourself. And I think our industry also is on a threshold of adapting. There are a lot of shows being done, a lot of people who have come here who are adapting this technology and the change in technology. We're shooting more. All the films are being shot digitally now, rather than shooting on film. And so I think that's the future. The future is, of course, the digital future. And it's no longer, as you said, the film industry. It's a digital industry at the moment, yes. So I think the country, not only in films and entertainment, in everything else, is adapting very well, especially India. And our Honorable Prime Minister is encouraging it. The government is encouraging. And there are a lot of incentives also for technology in our country. And I see a great future, and I think we Indians are good at adapting and very, very hardworking people. We are kind of people who can really work for 16 to 18 hours in a day without, blinking an eyelid. That's been, I think, our success. And of course, with 1.3 billion people in our country, I think it's a great platform and a great future for everybody, anybody who is adapting to this technology, and we are adapting. Was it a very long answer?
It was bang on perfect.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Can I follow on?
Yeah.
First of all, Slumdog Millionaire is one of my favorite movies of all time, so thank you for that. It was wonderful. But in watching your career, you've been such a harbinger of dynamism. You've done so many different, and so many languages, as you just said, so many parts, so many languages, so many different movies. How do you manage to stay relevant for so long? Because you are just as relevant today than I think going back to the first movie you were just describing.
Thank you very much for saying that. But yes, of course. Obviously, for me, it's always, I take inspiration. Like, of course, there's, inspiration from, Microsoft, inspiration from individuals, companies. I keep on reading, I keep on watching, and of course, I listen. And of course, I have, like for example, Rishika is there, and Eros is very blessed to have a younger generation. And I have my children who also keep me relevant and keep me on my toes. I have 2 daughters and a son. And so it's an atmosphere of different tastes, different, everybody has got different passions. And nobody's a fan in my house of anybody. Everybody is very independent. So I get a lot from my children, from my family. And I've always been, I'm ready to fail. That's the biggest, I think, a lesson which I have learned is that I am ready to fail. I'm ready to make a fool of myself. And I think that's what has kept me relevant. That I have dived into things and everybody has said that this is disastrous. What are you doing? Like when I started my career in Telugu and Kannada films, I started my career with bit roles, and they said, you're doing bit roles so constantly all your life, you're going to get only small roles. I started as a background actor. Then I did regional films. Then my first film as a leading man was a film which was not a conventional leading man. I did a film which was completely unconventional, where I played a small town guy who comes to become a music director. So on and so forth, in my career, I've done films, done roles. Then I did, out of the blue, I did Slumdog Millionaire, and I think most of the people, most of the leading men in our industry said no to the film. And I just dived into it and I did it. Been a leading man all my life and I was just playing a small 8-9 day cameo in the film. And that cameo turned out to be very well. Then I did 24, which was television. And I said, you were from Oscar. The film has won 8 Oscars and, why are you doing television? I said, because I just want to do it. I like the role. I like the story. So what if it's television, And then I came back. I bought the rights of Tel24 8 years, 9 years back. I went from every broadcaster and all the the big guns in the Bombay film industry. I said I want to do 24 as a season. I said, what is season? What is 24? I said, we do daily soaps over here. There is nothing like season over here. And I said, I want to do it. And I did it. And today, I think everybody is doing that. I did it 8 years back, 9 years back. So these kind of things I've done. There are certain films which I've done. Then there was a transition period which happened where everybody wanted me to play only the lead role. But I said, no, my time, I cannot be delusional. I think I should, to a certain extent, do something which is, which I be able to do for, not for the next decade. I was thinking for the next 3 decades, for the next 4 days. I always believed in a marathon. I never believed in the 100-meter dash. So I said, let me look at it, how it is going to be. I swear on God, you look at my interviews, and every time I've said that I want to be the marathon runner, not, So that's the reason I've been in this business for the last 40 years, and hopefully for many more years. So that's the way I have been, in my own small way, try to be relevant, of course. Now let me ask, there are too many questions being asked to me, so I think you're turning the tables. So what are some of the changes that have been most, in Microsoft, Microsoft has undergone its, in its own transformation journey? Yeah.
It has. There's a famous management consultant named Peter Drucker, and he says, culture eats strategy for lunch. And that is so true, because you can see the journey that the company has gone through, and it's all been centered on culture. And it started when Satya Nadella, our CEO, read the book Mindset by a Stanford psychologist, Carol Dweck. And he took away from it this idea that if you have 2 people in a room and one's a learn-it-all and one's a know-it-all, the learn-it-all will go further. Even if they start from a deficit, they will go further if you're a listener and a learner. And he infused that idea, that simple idea, across the company, and it has taken us on our journey, this idea of having a growth mindset over the last 5 years, five and a half years since Satya stepped into that role. And it's changed everything. It's how we view our customers, it's how we view fellow employees, how we view the industry. It's have a growth mindset. Don't have a fixed mindset and say, we can't do this or we can't do that or we've tried that, didn't work. It's like, open your mind, have a growth mindset, and it's turned things around.
So what, to Rishika, thank you very much. Once more to Rishika. So what are your Eros' plans still of the next 2 decades?
So I think we touched a little bit on how we want to change the content viewing experience for the industry and for all of our users today. So very much like yourself, it's very important that it's not just the individual that reinvents itself, and very much to what Peggy just said as well, the company needs to continuously evolve and reinvent itself. And that's how we use technology and how we'd like to use technology. So be it ensuring that we can create hyper-local, hyper-customizable user experiences, or actually creating a very own extended reality for you and what you're watching. I think these are just a few of the things that we have in the pipeline, and it's very hard for me to predict to 2030, because whatever I predict today is probably going to be irrelevant in about 2 years anyway. So I think we're working on our extended reality suite, as well as ensuring that we can continue to serve and focus on the micro niche pockets of the world.
Great. I think anyone else wants to ask questions? Yeah. Shall we?
I have
Yeah.
another question for
Oh,
you.
okay. One second.
And it just kind of threw out to me. There's like a real lack of female representation in this room today. And you obviously are surrounded by a set of really, really strong females at home. I'd love to maybe have you speak to, I think, all of the men in this room about how to maybe deal with such strong females and how to help empower them to fulfill their dreams.
If you ask me, I think just listen to them. And they're always right. That's the way I have, been in my life. I've been surrounded by, of course, you're right. I'm surrounded by very, very idealistic, independent women. My wife, who was my friend, who became my girlfriend, and my wife and the mother of my 3 children was always independent. And matter of fact, when we met, obviously I was jobless and she had a job, and we always been friends. And well, I would say, it's not only that I believe, for me, I think I always felt they're superior, to be honest with you. It's not that we believe, and I believe it. I believe in it. I sincerely believed. And I've always felt that she's much more intelligent, superior, powerful, multitasking. So I think the more you respect them, more you listen to them, I think that's the success. And then I had 2 daughters who are successful also today in their own way. One is she speaks her mind, and I let her do that, and learns from her own mistakes, and she's done wonderful for herself. And wherever I go, they speak about her, and I said, you have such a wonderful daughter, and she's so honest, she's so straightforward, and of course she's beautiful, really beautiful. And then I've got a younger daughter, and this is who started very young, and both of them had started very, very young. I think they were in their teens when they started working, and I encouraged them. And I said, let them be. I said, this is the kind of film they want to make. I said, make it. I said, but, it's a tough world because, it's a male-dominated industry. And I find it difficult to sometimes, they have gone through their ups and downs, emotionally ups and downs, where they're not taken seriously. But I said, you'll have to fight it out. And they fought it out. And I'm always there to encourage them. And if you encourage the girls, and I truly believe that the girls are, if you want to live a very happy life till you go away up there, I think girls are much better, much, much better than the boys. And
You have to clap to that.
and if you see now all over the world, I think all the girls are doing so well, and there are such great entrepreneurs, sportswomen, and in every field they're doing so well. And of course, there are not many girls. There is, I can see a girl over here, smiling over here. There is someone over there, and of course you're there. And I think the future belongs to the girls. And of course, if we men encourage, when I say we men also, I get a very firing from my wife. I say we all human beings, if we encourage and be positive, I think we'll have a greater future. And that's what I've done. Always let them be independent, positive, and whatever they want to do, and let them be. That's what I've done. And that's what everybody should do, I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well,
I think we should ask, at least, you want to ask a question?
I think people might have some questions
Yeah,
out there.
I think
So the
that'll be
floor
better.
is open for the question and answers.
Anyone?
Well, if
Hi,
anyone.
Yeah.
So, my name's Kenneth. I quickly want to ask, could you elaborate a little more about the synergy between Microsoft and Eros now, and how it's going to benefit both companies?
Well, I'll start and you, okay. Well, first and foremost, we're in 2 different industries. We're a technology enabler. we don't develop content. We're not in that business, but we're a platform business. And our goal is to enable Eros to meet their vision and your objectives on top of the platform. So we both have our separate swim lanes, if you will. And I think that helps us be very synergistic in what we're trying to build together.
Absolutely. And just to add on to what Peggy said, I think what's been really beautiful about working with Microsoft has been the collaborative nature of absolutely everyone throughout the organization. And that collaboration gives birth to a lot of new identities, new ideas, and opens up new ways of looking and thinking about what may be considered a very basic standardized technology stack. So it actually enables, I feel, for both of us to push the envelope to a new level which hopefully has not been achieved yet.
I have a follow-up question. To that. You quoted the cover of the Harvard Business Review saying that I think it was I forget, Peter Drucker. I think
Peter Drucker.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Desi pop culture is on a rise. The question here is, where does Microsoft see itself in giving Desi pop culture a little more wing and wind beneath its wings? Particularly with this synergy with Eros now.
I might not have understood the question.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't quite get...
So Desi pop culture is on a rise. It's sort of consolidating now, and you find a wider psychographic coming together under that umbrella. The question is, since culture is the space that we're looking at, how could you elaborate a little more on how Microsoft and Eros are looking to come together to give this Desi or Indian pop culture a little more wind beneath its wing?
Sure. I think one of the things that we've been working on pretty deeply together is, I also mentioned PLC, which is deep personalization, deep localization, deep customization. And I feel that Desi pop culture, while it may exist, maybe it doesn't exist to the extent of regional pop culture. So I think our collaboration will, A, enable us to access the product, give the product to someone, touch the micro-niche pockets of the country. So imagine if you're a Tamil-speaking viewer for Eros now, but you want to watch a Hindi movie. Imagine the product surfacing for you in a language with which you're comfortable. To the extent the dialogue has never even been, say, shot in that language, but it's served to you in a way in which you are most comfortable viewing it. I think that's one of the greatest impacts we'll make, because content can then essentially cross borders, and it's not limited to just one specific language, country, region, or dialect.
Thank you. That was good now.
So that includes music, films, content, everything, right?
Music might be difficult given the beats and all of that, but in terms of spoken content, video language content, all of it, but in terms of Microsoft's capabilities, I may not be the best person to speak on this.
Well, essentially what you're talking about is we're going to be learning together. We'll bring the tech tools and you'll bring the creative tools, and we think that we can reach these audiences together. And as I said, it'll be a first-class experience for each of those languages. It won't be a dubbed experience. It'll feel very much very natural to listen to a movie in this manner.
Hi, question for Ms. Johnson. Hi. Am I right in assuming that this is your first sort of foray into the Indian digital video space? Or have you, has Azure worked in this space before?
So we've worked in this space. This is the first major partnership that we've announced.
Okay.
We have been working in this space.
In India?
We've been working in India in many different categories.
Okay.
What's interesting here is they will be utilizing our Azure Media Services, which is a set of enablement tools in our cloud that will help content creators, the management, the transformation, the delivery of the content, take it to a whole new level. And Eros being the leader in the space, it was a natural partnership.
So I just want to confirm that this is not your sort of first, it's not your first attempt, it's not your first sort of foray into the digital video space in India. You have worked in the digital video space in India before, is that
We've
right?
worked across industries, across all industries in India. Yeah, we've been here for several decades.
How do you view this, the Indian market, given how much of Indian digital video space is sort of occupied by your rival Amazon Web Services? How does sort of Azure hope to counter that competition and sort of grow in this very crowded space, actually?
Well, I think one of the differentiations is the languages, so that we'll be able to differentiate with the languages. But maybe you could talk to some of the experiences that you are considering building on top of the platform.
Of course, I think what makes this, from an Eros Now perspective, really unique is that if you look at what the Western platforms have been doing today, they're essentially building kind of top down and you're being told what you want. What we're enabling is we're actually making you empowered to actually tell us what we want in a very direct way, whether it be the way you consume. In terms of Azure and how I think the sheer sophistication of the product is, I think, beyond the extraordinary. Personally, I can tell you, I've never seen my engineers so happy working with back-end infrastructure and actually working with the Microsoft team. So not only sheer product sophistication, but I think the culture of Microsoft plays a huge part as well in the beauty and the kind of edge they give you to a partnership and collaboration.
Hi. Ramita Majumdar from Business Standard. I kind of want to take up from the previous query here. So this partnership would come under the Microsoft Azure Media Services partnership, and this is not something that has been done before, or have you also had partnerships under the media services space before? In India, yeah, in India.
In India, broadly, I don't know if we have other. I don't know if we can share all the names.
You have recently announced a few partnerships with Z5 and Reliance Jio. So I just want to understand if these also come under the same bracket. And another thing is, going forward, given digital media is booming globally as well as in India, what kind of an opportunity does Microsoft see in this space, specifically with your media services and the kind of solutions that you've been talking about? Do you have any kind of market opportunity that you have in mind or you're looking at present?
Well, I just think as all media companies are looking for differentiation, we can help them with these tools. We have cognitive services tools that have voice recognition. That's one of the things that Eros will be using. We have compute, we have data warehousing, we have the ability to deliver the content in a very secure manner. So we have a set of tools that media services can tap into, and one of the largest and most significant partnerships we have is with Eros, because you're using just about all of the tools across the board.
I remember that Redmond trip.
Yes, you're tapping into all of them. So
sorry, just wanted to understand that again. So the other partnerships are not under media services, and this is just
they're all on Azure. So Azure is our cloud, and they can access media services, they can access cognitive services, they can access artificial intelligence tools, our analytics. So they have access to all that once they build onto Azure Cloud.
So technically, does that mean that for example, you just announced a partnership with Reliance a couple of months ago. So does that mean that then Reliance can also access your media services technology under that partnership? I mean, so once they sign on to Azure, does that mean that they're sort of eligible to then access all of Azure's?
Well, think of us as a platform, and anybody who builds on Azure can work with any of the services that we're launching. Yeah, broadly.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions.
Sorry?
They want to know about the collaboration.
Okay, so
We're super excited to be collaborating with Microsoft to create a truly unique and personalized, customizable product. What's great about working with Microsoft, besides the collaborative nature, is the sheer sophistication of technology and product that enables Eros now to be one of the most sophisticated localized platforms in the world.
Well, we're thrilled to be partnering with Eros because they're the leader in their space. And I think between our technology and their creativity, we're going to change really, we have the opportunity to change the entertainment viewing industry.
Well, I'm been an admirer and fan of course, Bill Gates and Microsoft, and today I had an honor to meet Peggy, who the world has honored her, and I've read so much about her, and today I had an opportunity to meet her. And of course, I've been part of the Eros family since so many years. I've been working with Kishore since more than, from the time I started my career. My films have been, most of my films, and even the films which I produced are in the library of Eros now, and hopefully they'll now be, with this collaboration, they'll be seen in all the languages.
Okay, Krishna, just a question. When we speak about languages, is it that the content will actually undergo a translation on the language that we want to hear? We can probably hear it. Am I getting it right, or is it something else that the technology will?
It's something technology will do. So there's no kind of reshoot, there's no dub. It's automatically done on the fly, but using the intelligence of the artist's own kind of diction and natural way of speaking. So it's something that a consumer wouldn't even be able to tell.
Oh, okay, so if I'm getting it right, so if...
Sorry, we could take that
By your
offline.
queries.
Thank you.
Thank you. There are some queries left.
One more question.
I just wanted to understand the technology. So if I'm understanding it correctly, is there is content that is available in Hindi. If I want to listen to it in English or Malayalam, that is a regional language, will this technology translate it accordingly? Is that what the technology
Yes,
does?
it will enable you to consume the content in a language in which you are most comfortable.
Thank you. That is exactly what I want.
Thank you.
Sorry? Zoya, it's releasing tomorrow, yeah. So, after how many months they can see it in other languages? Yes. So, yeah, my daughter's film is releasing tomorrow.
Oh,
It's called the Zoya
congratulations.
Factor. So
Ah, wonderful.
please,
I'll have to
all of you
view
watch it. Please watch it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.